Yes, call to order. Okay. We do have a forum.
Are we
So we're changing the way our agenda plays out, so. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy New Year, everybody. Good evening, everybody. All right, so I'm going to ask for any other business items. I know I do have one, but does anybody else from council have any business today? Okay, on the other business side, I would like to discuss the freedom for hiring within the public works as long as we stay within the budget. And with that, I basically just want to be able to write the ad, get it out without having to bring it to council, have it approved or changed or switched and delaying the hiring process. So we'll add that to the business. Okay. And we've got, I wanted to change a motion to consent agenda.
Move that we accept it. That we consent to the agenda.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and let's see, you guys have got bills and payroll. So for the department reports, one thing that I did want to bring up is we did have some issues at the last meeting where people were in the audience were talking while over the top of us. That is something that we're really going to be watching. If there's discussions to be had, we do request that you please take them either to the back of the room or outside, so it does not disrupt the rest of the meeting. I feel like it's pretty explanatory, but if it becomes an issue, we'll stop and ask, we'll just step outside. I am still working on getting my sea legs and learning the ins and outs of City Hall. Thankfully, Rachel has been amazing at helping me out where need be, and Eric as well. We are going to be listing the ad for the part-time employee for Public Works. And then we're going to be working with John in the hiring process. We really want him to have a lot of input because he's going to be training the person. So we need him to be a good fit for him and they need to be able to work good together. I'm going to be working with Rachel in the upcoming weeks to audit everybody's training and make sure that we are all good and up to date. So if you guys do have certificates that have not gotten, please get them into us. And then we are going to be working towards doing standing workshops for 2024. So that's something that we definitely will want to wrap our heads around maybe once a month.
Yeah, I'm not standing for them.
What if we did like one of those little bouncy balls? Just there. I'm gonna be going out this month and meeting with all of the business owners just to start building a good relationship with everybody and getting any ideas that they have, see if they're having any issues. I would think that they would come to us, but I've heard that in the past, that's not really been the case. So I really want to encourage a good interaction between both us and the business owners that they have problems. And then Pete. Your report?
So first of all, Michael Penix should have won the Heisman Award,
Yes, you should have.
Yes,
right? And the Huskies are in the championship game.
yes, they are. That was.
There they are now, and that's the most important thing. That was a great game, by the way, last night. Really good game. So I don't have a whole lot to report. A lot of it's the same thing that you've been hearing over and over and over. But the one thing that I do want to report that's very, very good for the community is that the defendant has pled guilty in the case for the Toledo Middle School. We didn't have to go to trial on that. There's a reason why we instituted the investigation in the way that we did. And I want to go on record on thanking former Mayor Steve Dobish for allowing us to go down to Oregon and interview the suspect. That was a key component in the plea agreement for the static pleading guilty. What this does is it validates the young girls, now they're young ladies' voices, that this type of behavior is not acceptable. And so I'm really excited and pleased to let you know that that has now been completed. Second thing is we've got our evidence lockers in. We've got a whole bunch of bags and just, you know, general stuff that's associated with the evidence room that I'm working on. It's a pretty big, undertaking, so working on that. We've got a new computer coming in for the car. Eric's been helping me with that. Which I thank him for that, because he's a data, ninja, so he knows exactly what we need. Rather than me sit down and ask a bunch of questions that are redundant, Eric's able to help me with that.
Sorry,
We got an important phone call.
yeah.
My phones are probably not on sound either. We are in the process of hiring a lateral officer. We're working on that, very, very quickly, trying to move that process forward. Things are looking good. We just have a few more, T's to cross and I's to dot. And I did put a lot of stuff on the report, but that's for the council to read. But other than that, if anybody has any questions, fire away.
I was just curious,
No, it's for them first. Any questions from the
I
community?
really grill them.
So this person is never going to be allowed to go anywhere near a school again, hopefully?
So some of the key components of the plea agreement cannot teach in any of the United States of America anywhere. Forfeit teaching certificates. It's the best possible outcome for the city of Toledo, meaning number one, the women's dose is invalidated. I'm very, very, very focused on that. Number two, it does not, we don't incur a huge cost in incarcerating a person who's got a 2-year sentence hanging over his head for 2 years. To answer your question, he can't teach anymore, can't be around children, those types of things. All that's in the plea agreement. From what I understand, there's gonna be a newspaper article coming out on it. And which I'm really excited about, because again, we get that word out in the community, people understand that, we've taken this very seriously. Does that answer your question? Hmm? Anybody else? Any more questions? Anybody else? Steven?
A topic that goes around and is discussed quite a bit, even with people that I meet at the market and the city. Is that ever antagonistic home at 420? Are we taking any steps, because I haven't heard it in council, I've heard you not.
You mean my neighbors?
Yeah,
We have taken a very proactive step, which has really cut down on the complaints. In fact, we haven't had any complaints. We, with the council and the mayor's blessing, we have put a street light right over the top of their trailer. And that's the light up that entire, that roadway, and that's really cut things down. There's a secondary plan that we have that we will talk to you later on about. We don't feel it's appropriate to discuss that here,
okay. Thank you.
You answered my question.
I can walk from here to my house now with a lighted way.
Or a hand in a holster.
Oh, I never feel unsafe. Walking home.
Have you noticed the light? How bright
Oh,
it is?
yeah, absolutely, and a lot less traffic, definitely, so.
Okay, I do have a question, in regards to the middle school case. Are they requiring that he is registered?
I don't know the answer to that yet. I assume so.
Yeah, we like guilty, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a plea agreement, it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what was the give and take on everything. But I think overall for the city of Toledo, especially for the, the young ladies now, but then also the city of Toledo budget, like this, it was, you couldn't ask for a better outcome.
The thought of having to spend $40,000 a year in incarceration is scary.
If others were to come forward, would that be a separate case then?
That would be, he's pled guilty, so, it would be a whole nother investigation, but it could, in theory, be tied to the original one. We've offered that opportunity. I've talked to several people in the community, and I think there's some other cases out there, but I think some of the people just have moved on. So I'm very pleased with the outcome, given the fact that that was the ball was dropped. So And it was a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Chief? All right, so we'll move on to, unless you have more.
Go Huskies.
That's
Don't
right.
make me kick me off tonight. We'll go ahead and move right on to City Hall.
So I reached out to Mike Johnson this week about the city hall assessment. We'll be getting that scheduled soon, so that's kind of exciting. Jamie, I did speak to the Wiggle Stop, contract, about the Wiggle Stop contract, and they will get back to us with an updated contract that removes that nonprofit. I've reached out to him a couple times. I haven't heard anything back. I'm just assuming it's because of the holidays, so
Mhm.
we'll probably get that back in front of you guys. That way we can get it approved the way it is. We won't have to bring it back and forth to council for purchases. Working on more training with Carly and utility billing. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know the bills were super crazy this time last year. And things were kind of stuck all over the place. So this was the first month since I've been here in the whole year that we literally had no issues going through with billing. So that was really exciting. And Carly actually did billing pretty much on her own. So that's a really big task I'll be able to hand off, which is pretty nice. I have been working with Eric on the LGIP account. And as of today, everything is reflecting correctly. So you guys all have this report. We do plan to make more transfers this week. And just with the transfer that we made last month, our interest for December went up over $1,000, I think.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. More office cleanup on the weekends. Carly came in this weekend, so we're working on taking the 22 boxes and trying to mirror those just to make sure that we have all the reports that we're supposed to have. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of instructions left to us. I think Carly got most of hers put away. She's organized for 24, which is nice. And I'm halfway there getting my stuff put away. That kind of finishes me off. I think that's about it. So, and then I know Carly's got some stuff that she can report to.
So I've been working on updating our resident binder agreements, filtering out the inactive accounts that are still in there and adding the new accounts that have not been added yet. So those are all up to date. Started working on the official meeting minute book that has not had anything in it since November of 2022. So that is also now current. And I'm taking more meeting tasks on council, planning commission, park board, over who's sitting
And dressing like her.
Yeah. I just-
You're matching that.
Oh, geez.
So what are these binders?
So it just has like all the water sewer agreements from all the residents that have been here since like 1980. And a lot of them, people have moved out, people have moved in, so we're just trying to get those all.
So they have two big binders, divided up by streets.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple different forms that people are supposed to be filling out when they move in or move out.
Hmm.
I don't really know how they kept track of those things. It was all on paper, and so I've had her go through the two big binders that I found. And we're making sure that who's under that address is actually who lives there. And then if they're a renter, we need to know who their landlord is, because when they move out, we have to be able to close that water account out and flip it back to the landlord. Again, I don't know how they did that in the past, but we're coming up with like our own flow of things. Obviously through trial and error. We've got our, our forms down. We reached out to some of the, TJ Geyer places that rent out here, and so we've been able to get a good idea of who owns what. So it was just kind of a mess. They had the two big binders, and then they had another binder that they were adding stuff to. So I don't know if they went in monthly and just kind of changed them out, or if they kept them separate for a reason. I don't know. So we're just kind of redoing it to where we understand what is there, and we can, either be on paper or log into the computer, and we have. And also it's important that we have those two, because if we have someone that runs up a really high water bill, which we've seen, and they move out, well, now they owe us a bunch of money and we don't take deposits. So with those forms that they fill out, there's an agreement that goes over the rates, and it goes over the, all your responsibilities. Like, hey, if you move out and you owe us money, we can put a lien on your property, and they sign off on it. So those are kind of important to have, so.
So is the end goal a searchable database?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I think just getting everything together to where it's current. And then that can be something that we're putting on our to do electronically. There's a lot to do electronically here.
I think things you need on a regular basis, you have in Vision.
Right, yeah, if we need to search, I mean, I could look at anybody on Visions, and so that is searchable. But having those signed off forms, it's all in that book. So, but yeah, anything on Visions is searchable.
Are you thinking about making a policy change to start requiring deposits?
Yeah, so we're also thinking about that, starting to get deposits. I know that's one thing that we've looked into. It's on our list of policies that we'll be bringing in the near future. So I know that there's a way that we have to take those deposits. I believe they have to go into a separate account that gets interest. It's pretty complicated, so I don't know if it's worth it. I don't have a lot of issues. I've had maybe like 3 or 4 where people move out and they owe a little bit of money. So I don't know if it's worth the hassle. So it's something that we can all look into.
Yeah, because I don't think you can keep them forever.
The deposits?
Mhm.
No, well, you obviously you get the deposit, it goes in that separate account, and then there has to be, again, there's some rules to it. And it has to be given back within, I think it's 30 days of them moving out or something like that, so.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's rules where you can't keep it until they move out.
Well, I've got those from the MRSC, so that's the guidelines I got as far as having to put it in a separate account and the interest. I didn't see anything as far as only being able to keep it 365 days. I just saw the rules as far as it has to be returned within, I think it was 15 or 30 days after they moved out. So again, once we dig into the policies, that one's kind of lower on the scale, and we can look into all the ins and outs of it. Any questions?
Can you link in Visions? Is there a way you can link every address to an owner?
Yeah, they are.
So you can parcel search, you should have an owner listed for
Yep.
every place in Toledo and then. all
But the
their
way it's set
contact
up is,
info is on
it's,
there too.
again, it's kind of weird, so if a renter moves out, we have to know who to flip the account back to.
Right.
And it's not really user friendly as far as seeing who the landlord is. And then again, we want that form that they've signed off on, saying that, you know, they're responsible for the water.
Isn't that information on parcel information from the
That's what I'm
county?
saying, the
Yeah.
parcel should show all the owners of every property.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, it is, but what I'm saying is we need something that if we've got that signed form, okay, now this is a renter, they're moving out. Instead of having to go search, you know, we're just gonna flip it right back to the renter. So,
Except if the renter doesn't pay you, that landlord is liable to the city.
correct, yeah. Any further questions?
Move on to the Public Works, they were excused from tonight's meeting, and I do have their staff report. So it says they're running the digester through at the treatment plant, that should be done next week. I don't know that you heard anything yet, Rachel, but they still have not heard anything about the delivery date on the mixer motor.
I haven't heard back from them yet.
Okay, so hopefully we will have that soon and get that swapped out. He went ahead and picked up the man lift over the weekend, used that for not only the cheese ball drop, but they did remove the lights off the Christmas tree. They were also able to go out to Neighbors Hall and patch up some holes that the birds were getting in, and they also installed the light out here on the pole, so that our light could stay up all the time and not have to come down at night. He did return that this afternoon. We did have an emergency sewer line break up on Hemlock Street. We had worked with the owners of that property. Back when we had the heavy rains, they were seeing some backup, and we weren't 100% sure whether or not it was on our end or their end, because we were seeing nothing when we checked it, and they were saying the same. We had the plumbers come out and they did find that it was in the city line, so that was taken care of. And then they're having to do the ditch work out on Old Pacific Highway. They're gonna do some cleaning to that. Someone had been driving through it and made big ruts so that it's backflowing. that is everything for them. I probably can't answer any questions if anybody has them for Public Works, but if you do, please feel free to send them in.
Or Pacific Highway.
Old Pacific Highway, it runs alongside where it goes up the hill to the high school, up 505. Does anybody have any questions that I can pass on?
I mean, it's remind again, we're so appreciative of him coming up to Kansas Hall and
Yes.
he spent like a solid 2.5 hours out there just letting us use the lift to patch up the Bertles and just hang out with us, and he made me a small stuffed pepper.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's supposed to go to Sherry, but it had tomatoes on it, so I had to eat it for. Yeah, it was really, but I mean, he was really generous with his time and really was like not rushing us, and was just really great, so we appreciate that so much.
I will definitely pass that along.
Thank you, guys.
And go on to council reports.
I have nothing to report. Well, except I do have a mention to, I'd like to, mention my condolences to Glenda Forga, and, her, the passing of her husband. She was a council member here for many years, and I served with her as well. And I did not know that her husband passed recently, so I would like to publicly give her my condolences. And that was all I wanted to say. So,
Okay, so as Rachel said, finished up the LGIP. I think we've got it happy. I think we have it to the penny, so that's good. We moved $91,000 around them to different funds to get them all whole and correct. Worked with Sherry on some public works hiring models, so we'll talk more about that in other business. And I need to start working on the models for water sewer billing and get some ideas so that we can have a workshop on that, or start having workshops on that. Went to Lewis County Development meeting at the Grange. That was good. I was basically just there to kind of watch in case anybody from the city had questions. The mayor was there. It's good to see as well, and as was Rebecca. And I might have another thing. No, guess that's it.
Yeah, that's all I had too, is I went to the Lewis County Comprehensive Plan update and, but it was interesting as far as I'm concerned, even though it's the county, so it doesn't affect us here in the city, but we're part of the county, so it's nice to know what they're up to. Felt like everybody in the room was kind of all on the same page. I think most of us are also, nobody wants to see the county explode into growth, but there's places where it's inevitable and can be hopefully managed. And went to the cheese ball drop and a smaller crowd this year than last year, but yeah, I can see you make
I fell asleep.
Me too.
I snoozed in the new year.
I ran into some older friends and some more recent friends, so I enjoyed it. And yeah, the rest of the time it was lots of holiday event.
I have nothing civic to report. Well, you guys received some information from me. I spent some time researching charging for franchises. And we can discuss that later on when we do the second reading if you'd like, but I would like to see some advance, like 2 meetings advance on things like this so that we can research them. Because we should not, I'll talk about it later. I don't agree with signing the contract. And so what else did I do? Oh, I was gonna go to the cheese ball drop because I've never been before, but I didn't realize that we live in a different time zone than the rest of the world. And discovered it was at 11, not 12.
Well, it dropped at 12. It's
Oh,
just
it's.
people that started.
It really
gathering.
did. Oh, because I looked on the city site and it said 11 o'clock and I went, well, I missed that. So I didn't go. Okay, so now I
Next year
know.
we'll go in.
Yeah, you should probably put on there, it's at 11, but it doesn't really drop until 12. And then those of us not in the know would be able to still make it there.
We'll swing by and knock on the door, like, come on, we're going.
Okay, oh, yes. So, last meeting, we swore in Rebecca and Kathy, and it's their first elected position. They were appointed previously. And I would like to right now, take time to congratulate them because it didn't happen last meeting. And so.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sweat it down.
And if we could circle back around to me, I forgot, another thing was additional on on this chart that you have. And on the cash and investment activity. This is kind of the beginnings of us wanting to start to have a monthly on the meeting where we have bills to sign the state of the finances, and we will definitely try to get this into the packet moving forward. So it literally just happened right before council, so we'll do better. And it looks kind of funny right now because we haven't spent anything this year, but those blue boxes will fill in as the year goes by. The top is kind of a pie chart as to what funds have what money. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And just because we have it, doesn't mean we have to spend it.
Exactly.
You'd be correct. And for our committee reports, anything from the planning commission?
Not a whole lot. I was in Kansas during the last meeting and Brian Dennis, wheeled the gavel for me. I think we had a couple of development issues that the planning commission really is not going to be involved in. I think one of them was the placement of the manufactured home over off of Old Pacific Highway. And I believe that should be in the hands of Robert Webster now for
It's not, I'm
review.
waiting on Todd.
I'm sorry.
I'm waiting on Todd still,
Okay.
but yeah, it will be.
And the other was the vacation of part of Third Street, which I don't believe the planning commission is going to be involved in. I think that's going to go to council. And the last one would be KR Homes, which I'm still kind of wondering the process that they're going to use to do are they gonna do cluster?
I think he's gonna try to pursue the cluster
Yeah,
subdivision.
that makes sense. So I'm not sure the cluster homes fall in the planning commission realm or not. I don't believe so.
I'm not sure, you know, we kind of pushed a lot at planning commission because it was new to us and we wanted extra
Right.
eyes on it, but as things start to get normal. I think pulling them off of your plate, you know, so once we've done a couple. And staff knows how to do that, I'm sort of speaking, since that was kind of part of the reason that we shoved so much towards planning commission, that as staff gets the hang of running permits and such.
We'll be able to be a little more in and.
And I think it'll be things that fall outside of the normal set, so.
And the stuff that we should be looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything that's pretty much cut and dry that, we can proceed. And,
I had one more thing.
oh, sorry. go ahead.
The Huskies are going to the national championship.
We haven't heard. And I do believe that the Apple Cup will forever stay in Seattle. Am I correct?
Apple State.
Anything else?
Cover Cougars.
As it should. No, I'm good.
And do we have anybody from the park board here tonight? I don't think so.
Well, from the park, but the park meeting was canceled. And I don't agree with that personally. It is like the planning commission meeting being canceled. Anyway, I mean, in a way, it would be similar
If
To
I
them
may, I agree with you.
being canceled.
Because we don't know that there wasn't a resident that was planning on coming to it that now shows up and there's no meeting.
Right, and so,
Even if
I mean, there
it's-
could be more than one resident showing up, you never know,
Sorry.
so. I mean, it's a public meeting and it was canceled suddenly, even though you don't know. Could be nobody coming, but there could be somebody coming that could have an agenda item that they wanna have brought before you, you never know, and so to just yank it suddenly, I think is not okay. As a public entity, as a city, we have a duty to our citizens to have set up public meetings at certain times, certain days, and is our duty. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
I'd like to add to that, if you don't mind.
Okay,
If we have a policy that we have to post for public meetings, should we not also have a policy that we have to post for cancellation of public meetings?
I would assume so. I mean, that stands to reason. If we're posting, I mean, we do have, like she said, we do have to do the due diligence to inform the public. So, yeah, it should have been, do we know why it was canceled?
there wasn't an agenda item, there weren't any agenda items, but even if there aren't any agenda items, there still needs to be a meeting.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, there still needs to be a meeting, because you can still talk about stuff that needs to be done at the park. At the meeting.
We can address that when we're working on policies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, going forward, do you think this is still going to be a problem, or will it be taken
How
care
do
of?
we make
you
a
think?
policy?
I don't
Yeah.
know, I mean, yeah, I don't know, it's just, it's
Mhm.
things that have positively happened to affect things in the park have spontaneously been generated by things at
At
meetings,
meetings. Mhm.
so,
Okay,
You know.
yeah, we'll work on that,
I
Mark.
mean, it's off my soapbox.
Right, and we have, nothing in public hearing, nothing in special presentation tonight. Any public comment on agenda items? No. All right, so we will move on to the new business. So the first order of business for tonight is gonna be resolution number, sorry, let me get it. 276A, it's a resolution of the City Council of Toledo, Washington regarding financial assistance for the removal of dangerous trees located at 450 Cedar Street. And did you?
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 276A.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, any discussion?
Now we can talk.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just curious if we have an idea of how much money this is.
He was asking for $4,000 and that's what we've found.
Okay.
And we did go through go ahead.
Oh, well, council needs to discuss first.
Yeah, and we went through MRSC to figure out how to do this correctly. So that it is not gifting us.
I didn't see any dollar amounts in any of it, and so I was just
Yeah,
curious.
that's the last thing I had heard, so that's what we made room for.
Yeah, I concur with you.
That was
And
my,
did he have a?
that was my question is like, is
Well,
it a
we're
gift of
still
public
discussing.
funds? Like, you know, is it a gift of public funds? Is it a fundamental purpose of the city of Toledo government?
Yes, to protect its residents, yes, at our discretion. That's what we're doing it
And
on.
the resolution is on a case by case basis.
Yes.
Yeah,
Did the amount not get on here?
No,
I
No,
didn't see any dollars.
I didn't see any dollars.
no
either.
dollars.
No.
It was in the first one.
I will amend my motion to say, given that the resolution is updated to reflect $4,000.
And I'll second it.
Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded, any further discussion?
Is this when you, is this comment? Yeah.
Is the city at fault?
I don't
I
know,
mean,
really
There's no-
bad, I mean, it just,
It seems like the city isn't at fault here, and it seems like we're pruning someone else's trees.
It's
Done looked at 'em?
It's explained.
Yeah, of course I have. I mean, and it's like, it sucks for this guy and I feel terrible for it, but it's also at the same time, it's like there are. There are so many I feel badly for him. He also chose to buy this house.
But the trees are becoming a public, hazard. And we're not, we're
According
not, we're
to,
not.
but
taking
have we
care of-
had them, have we actually had them? Have we actually had them? Like, is it just us saying they are a hazard? Is it just us?
No,
No,
it's
Paul's been out there.
Yeah, and I thought we had discussed all this before, and it is pretty well spelled out in this resolution. This is a one-time thing for that reason. And we're not, this is not paying for the entire thing, we're just helping them out because it will be such a large expense
And it's
to
beneficial,
reduce that hazard.
yeah, that'll be beneficial in the long run for the city.
You have neighbors that are contributing money because they're afraid. That was kind of, for me, the tipping point.
Yeah.
We have a neighbor that's gonna contribute $2,000 towards it, I believe,
Well,
or was going to, or,
Anna Marie backed out.
oh, okay.
I am paying the balance of $16,000. So
Did you reach out to Kurt?
I did.
Okay,
nice conversation.
okay.
I don't believe he's gonna help. He might, he said he's gonna go out and look at it, but, you know, when I propose it to you guys, I understand my responsibilities. I'm truly not sure whose responsibilities it is, and I don't wanna be in a fight about it. I made a good offer, $16,000 towards it. Then I appreciate the 4,000 towards it, so it is a hazard to just not my house, but to 7 other houses, those trees would land on.
Yeah.
Plus maybe uproot the
Power
gas lines, all the other lines are running right by them. And, yes, I'm aware when I bought the house, there were some big trees there, but as I've been there for 3 years, now I'm kind of seeing, because I narrowly missed a big chunk of it hitting my house at one point. And there's always huge limbs coming off it, if somebody's walking by there, so. And now's the time to do it, if it doesn't get done, then, you know, I'm done with it, there's not much I can do about it at this point, so. And I do appreciate if you guys. It goes forward.
Any further discussion on it?
And I believe we've dog-eared ARPA funds. We're using those up. So,
So we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. The other item of new business is, we have the radio service agreement. Has everybody had a chance to read over that?
Yes.
What?
I don't know if you didn't do your homework.
Oh, I did. In fact, I discussed this one with
So they're local,
my
so that
husband.
the
and-
chief can talk to the county and the
Yeah.
county can talk to the chief.
Yep.
And
It's for our 911 communications.
Mhm.
And this is more of a, I mean, this is an annual.
Yeah, it's a
We did just sign the
regular
contract.
That's
thing
what I
that
thought.
always happens.
Yeah.
6th of September.
I make a motion that we accept the radio service agreement for 2024. Between the Lewis County and the city of Toledo.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Has it gone up in price? Looks like it, maybe a little bit. A little bit. Okay, whatever. Okay.
So we have no discussion on it. We'll go ahead and move forward with a vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The unfinished business that we have is the second reading for ordinance 797, which is the ordinance granting Puget Sound Energy Incorporated, a Washington Corporation, and its successors, and assigns the right, privilege, authority, and franchise to set, erect, lay, construct, extend, support, attach, connect, maintain, repair, replace, enlarge, operate, and use facilities, and upon, over, under, along, across, and through the franchise area to provide for the transmission, distribution, and sale of gas for power, heat, light, and such other purposes for which gas may be used.
Yes, she has to read it by me.
Yeah, I do.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 797 to approve Puget Sound contract.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Well, You know what, there is.
Excellent.
I'm gonna take 5 minutes and read this. I don't like that I'm just now getting this and it's 5 pages long.
It was,
It would have been great if I could have read it.
it was in our
It was
packet.
in the packet.
Yes.
No,
This,
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
oh,
That's like, what's this? It's like a reading. We ready?
Are we gonna take the time to read it now? Because
you can read it now if you want, or you can take my word for what it says.
okay, go for it.
So basically, King County is charging for franchise contracts. They were challenged and it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, yes. Yes, they can do it because it falls under rents. So they can charge as rent to use their property. They have a formula. I have some extra information here. They have a formula on how to go about doing that. King County realizes 10 million annually for their franchises. Now, we're not King County. And we don't have a bunch of utilities going through. But we do have the gas. And the fact that this is a 25-year contract is also against what we discussed last year and going into lengthy contracts with anybody. And so to me, I would like to see like this contract come at least 2 meetings before we have to approve it. And it didn't, because it doesn't give you any opportunity to research anything. But this basically says, yes, we can do this. And they're not going to come in and pull out their gas lines.
No, but they will increase the fees to the residents by the exact amount that we charge them.
Okay,
And
and
that's how
so,
I heat my house. And that's how I think other people heat their house.
and so if we add a tax instead, it's same old, same old. But one way or another, as council, we need to consider how we're going to raise revenue.
Oh, guaranteed, you know, that's all I think about.
So
But
But it kind of
perhaps,
is against my, I'm sorry, I'll leave it a moment. It's kind of against the direction I've tried to go, which is not to raise funds for the city on the backs of the existing residents. So that's why, if you're wondering why I'm not supporting it wholeheartedly, that's why. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
well, it says already that this is a franchise in here. We're used in this franchise, the following. Also, I wonder too, I agree with your 25 years. I think that's kind of ridiculous. Perhaps we can, I mean, what would be a proper time frame then?
Given this new information, I would like to see a 1-year contract so that we can revisit it.
1 year?
A 1-year contract so that we can revisit it next year after having more time to absorb this.
If it's not 25, it might as well be 1. The reason these are so long is because the cost of infrastructure is very large, and so they want to know that they'll be able to recoup any outlays. So if they were planning on coming to Toledo and running gas to more houses next year, they will hold off until they know that we will recoup. Because it's very expensive to tear up the streets. So 5 years is 1 year, it's the same. So if we just want more time to address it, or we just push on this and we say, let's think about it. I worry that if you take it to our lawyer, you're never going to recoup whatever that costs.
The lawyer did look at this one.
So we've already, so I mean, it's just not trying to be, you know, it's like they have so few people here. We're gonna get so little money that
So
we'd
this-
be hard pressed.
So we're looking at $240.
You think they're not gonna put gas in the new development?
Probably will, I don't know. But if we have a year, then we have time to address it, because that's not gonna be working. That's what I'm saying, either we
Yeah.
push or we go a year if we're not gonna do it, but I would.
Yeah, they say if we call it to a vote, it's gonna give us the chance to decide if we want to proceed with this or if we need to relook and see.
Do we have the option of
Yes.
Of
setting
course we do,
the time
yeah,
at a year?
because we're an entity and they're an entity and we're coming together to make an agreement.
Yeah.
Together.
And as it sits, just the way we've read it, how long is it for?
This one currently is for 25.
Yeah, in
That's
25
what I
years, they'll
thought.
come back and say, hey, let's do another 25 years. but
25 years.
Okay, well,
And besides the fact, they're probably in King County and they know what's coming.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll,
25 years seems like a long time.
so we'll go ahead and call it to a vote. All of those in favor?
I'm
Wait a minute.
confused, are we going to amend it then to 1 year, or we're going to, or are we voting?
We
on
can
it as
propose
is?
1 year to them.
Mhm.
You can also table it.
Yeah,
That really gives you a bargaining chip when you go back and talk to them too. Say, yeah, we're gonna do it for 1 year, let's talk,
can we table this for the next meeting?
opportunity to get out.
I
of
would
25
say,
years.
I would say, don't table it, but I would say not 25 years, but 1 year. And come back next year, when we've all had more time to understand what's going on.
And I do understand that, but we tabled it.
Amend it.
I mean, maybe not all of that, but,
Gives you an opportunity.
yeah, I mean, I think a year, let's do for a year and then, yeah, we make a motion that we, not 20,
You want to
Amend
amend
to a
to
year.
amend it to a year.
I'll second that.
Then moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So,
Motion carries.
so now we notify PSE
Yeah,
that, yes,
We
we're
probably,
agreeing, but
we
only.
mean for 1 year.
we probably tell our lawyer, we probably tell our lawyer to
Mhm.
change that wording and send it back.
It's their contract, so it's their contract that they.
Pardon?
So Joe had a good point that I think should be brought forward.
I can come. Buy yourself some time to.
So we've done that. So on to other business, that would be, would like to discuss times for monthly policy workshops. I know we've been, like, when we were doing the budget, it was Mondays prior to council meetings, is that, do Mondays work best? Are you guys interested in, well, I mean, we really do need a policy workshop monthly to get through the policies.
Mondays probably work best for me.
I think before the meeting, I think works fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would do 4 o'clock, Mondays at 4, okay? And do we wanna do
Do that?
one a month, or do we want to do just one?
Just one for
I
now.
would just do, yeah, one long one and then.
Okay,
At
And-
4 o'clock,
4 o'clock.
so they can run until the council
Meeting
meeting.
until-
Oh, yeah, so we have a little break in between.
Yeah.
So our next council meeting's on a Tuesday, so we go to do the following Monday.
Yeah.
we should
No,
do
we're
that
due before
Tuesday.
that.
This one.
Just
Okay.
the follow, yeah, do it on the Tuesday.
Okay,
And
so
then we'll start.
we will, 2 weeks from today at 4 P M.
Perfect.
Okay.
And Carly's bringing the snacks.
Wait.
So we're gonna make it every second council meeting, there will be a budget meeting first.
Policy.
No. I think maybe we figure out how we sit after the first one, because we have a lot of policies. to
Yeah.
We do, yeah, so we'll start with
With one.
4 o'clock, 2 weeks from today. And then the other. Item, oh, sorry.
Before you go on, have we determined where we're starting?
The front of the book,
I
probably.
think that Rachel's gonna run it, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple, we can get some information
Oh,
on too. There's a
shoot,
couple
hold
of
on.
these in
Can we,
there.
can we wait until the mid-month? We have to change our policy for payroll.
Yeah,
in order to
for
raise
the
it.
way, cost allocation for payroll. And
So we do have to get that done so that Rachel can make payroll at the end of the month correctly.
I'm on an airplane next Monday at 4 o'clock.
So but it can wait until the mid-month, because the policies are effective immediately. But if we don't finish,
Are you gonna be prepared to vote on it that same meeting?
yeah, but if we don't finish, what has to get done this month, then we'll have to have another one before the end of the month.
So we're still set for the 16th at 4 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Prior to a council meeting
Yes,
that we can vote on.
yes,
Be productive.
yeah.
And we can have it on the agenda, I mean, you know, since we know we're working on.
Okay, and for the other business item, since we are gonna be hiring for public works, that is, you can pull out your thinking pages that I gave you. There are a couple different models for possible wage options that we were looking into today, whether we were to do one part-time and one weekend, or if we wanted to do a full year part-time person in addition to the one full-time that we will be hiring regardless. Basically what I'm asking for at this point is the ability to go ahead, create the job posting, get it posted and get people in, and get them interviewed without having to bring every app or every job description that we're gonna post to council and have to wait every 2 weeks to get approval, which is pushing back our time to get people hired again, to get them trained.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we give the mayor the ability to get flexible with the kind of position as long as she stays under budget. For public works.
I'll second that.
I wasn't aware we got pre-approval on anything.
We were changing that, well, we're changing.
It's not been
It's
my
because we're,
experience.
it's because we're changing the job description, and
Yeah.
so we're not looking for another superintendent.
Exactly,
Okay.
and I know that the descriptions do have, so it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, so the things that are in here, the couple models that are here are. One that has, it sounds like there's somebody that wants to work weekends. Just work weekends, that's kind of near that space, they know how to do industrial kind of stuff. And then we were, so there's that position, and then potentially taking the 5-month, 3-day-a-week summer hire to an 8-month, 3-week summer, or not summer, but 8-month hire.
Mhm.
So that's this 8-month part-time, 9-month weekender. And then both of these do include a junior person, we like to call her our public work Carly. So somebody that we can bring in and train up from the beginning. Yeah, she's an adjective, not verb, adjective. Yeah.
Yes.
So the thought was that, and I think John Cravens likes that idea of getting to train somebody up, and it's a good job if you're young and you're, you know, and you're motivated and you were raised well and are motivated, that's it.
So the part-time could possibly be a young person after school hours, or?
No, like you
No.
look partly like in the.
No, the part-time, no, I think we're looking for somebody, like the weekend is somebody looking for add-on revenue to their, yeah, supplemental, and then the part-time, I think is maybe somebody with a part-time that's looking for a second part-time.
We're trying to get their
Or-
foot in.
Or trying to get their foot in, and the discussion with the mayor was kind of around if we focus on these part-time positions and be patient on the junior person, we won't be suffering. And if you wanna, Mayor, do you wanna speak about what we're gonna do on February 1st?
Could I
Go
get
ahead.
some
Okay, go ahead. Go
clarification
ahead.
on
Let's
these
go.
first? This, is it your turn? Go ahead.
My question is, what are the certifications that this will require?
So,
Water 1, water.
so for both of these, and I talked with John Cravens at length about this. So with the 8-month, well, any of the 3 that we hire.
Okay.
If we do magically get lucky and somebody comes in with certifications, that would be phenomenal. The cost for those people is probably gonna be outside what we can do. So I talked with him about what it takes to get certifications. You have to have your first 90 days in before you can, that starts your 1 year to get your cert 1. At that 90 days, that gives us a chance to look at somebody and say, hey, is this person gonna work out or not? Do we put the money and the time and energy into them getting their certs?
And John has what certifications?
He's got.
Water and sewer too.
Water
Yeah.
and sewer too, so we're covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
I have a question about that.
Jamie
too.
was
James is next.
there was that.
So these positions, a full year part-time is one of the options.
Yeah.
Is this 2 people on this one?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay,
it's actually, yeah, it actually puts the head count up to 4 people. And you can see over there on the far right, you'll see the percentage they're working. So that actually would run us up to 2.7 or 2.6 heads. And
So you're considering both of these?
Both
then?
options are on
these
the
options.
table, yeah.
This led to the idea that we just give her the flexibility to stay in budget. And, you know, if you find somebody that's
Yeah.
looking great, that we have flexibility on
Okay.
what to do financially.
The one thing that I will say before I pass it over to Emily is that, the best thing about the part-time and the weekenders is if it's not, that we're not paying them benefits, which is where we would really get stuck to. And it gives us the flexibility to tailor their things and see if they're gonna work out, and if they're gonna be long-term, then when the city starts to grow, they're able to move into a full-time position. So it just gives us a little bit more wiggle room, and again, you know, we talked with John Cravens about it, and this was something that he was interested in as well.
Okay, have you reviewed the benefits policy to make sure that we don't have to cover them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
My question is, how are we gonna cover Mike's shifts to cover John if there's an emergency now?
We already actually have thought about that. We've got 2 people who have signed up to volunteer, and they're going to start next week, training with him, and he will teach them the ins and outs, how to run all the tests, all of that. Our goal, and I talked with him about this, our goal is to get him to a Monday through Friday and not have to work his weekends anymore, so he can, you know, make it a little more easy for him. We do have 2 residents, which I don't know. Are we able to talk?
Sure.
So actually, we've got Councilman Hayes is gonna be one of the people volunteering, and Eric Grove is gonna be the other volunteer. Makes it nice, Eric Grove, when he is here in town, he is right there, right next to the plant, so both of them have been willing to jump right in and start learning right away. And that way we are covered when he has to take vacation, it's middle of February. But in the meantime, it gives him time with Mike still being here and working, it will give John ample time with them to start getting their feet underneath them.
So when does Mike leave?
The 31st is his official last day.
So if there's an emergency, say a pipe breaks and he's gone.
Mhm.
And John, and we have nobody to cover, like. I'm just worried.
We do have a
Well-
person, we have a Winlock
Yeah.
Public
Oh,
Works
we-
person on the list.
Okay,
That's,
we've made contact with them.
no, that's actually insurance.
Yeah,
list.
we'll
Okay.
be going over there
Okay.
and meeting with them, but yeah, there is plans in place in the event of an emergency.
Okay, that's my fear,
Yeah,
is that
that
we
was ours
just need to
too.
have our ducks in a row and. Not repeats, so, okay.
Okay,
Yes.
is everybody else had his turn?
I'm done.
Yep.
Okay, based on that plan that you've got, are we considering getting something up and running on Trello for that? So that we can cover ourselves in the future?
What do you mean, no Trello?
Well, Eric and somebody else is going to be training.
Okay,
And are we gonna put that on Trello so that we have a backup for that?
I don't know what you're talking about, a backup for Trello. We don't use Trello for
You mean the how
public
to?
works.
Yeah,
Eric and I are gonna be taking notes very specifically, and our goal is to end up with a checklist and what to do with
Operating
this. and-
procedure.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is we also want him to go around and, you know, show us what all, because we're gonna be like, should this be at this level or should it be down? And so we walk around and say, oh, it's down 2 feet. You know, there's a problem. We would call him, and then the idea is he would show us in person what he would be telling us to do, and then he would talk to us on the phone. Cause we can operate under his cert with his direct guidance, which is what we've been doing with Mike all along since he's not certified. So that's really no change there.
okay, yeah. Just planning for the future.
That, yeah.
That is the goal, is to kind of end up with a how-to out of it.
Okay, so it's been moved, it's been seconded and discussed. Is there any further discussion before we vote on it?
What are we voting on again?
Letting her.
That, oh,
have
the, okay,
Flexibility of picking the best candidate. under
okay, I'm good.
The circumstance.
All right, all of those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Right.
We could have looked at it.
Exactly, and then we are on to public input on any. Yes.
You had mentioned that there was a formula for franchise agreements that the city of, yes, formulated.
Yeah,
And I know it's asking a lot, but had you had a chance to run that formula for us to see what the actual possible benefits?
oh, Lord, no, I was gonna put that over to planning. I printed off some stuff. I printed off their contract and their compensation methodology.
Do we know if Lewis County does anything like that?
I do not know. I just found this doing my little research and said, okay, I'm good. But yeah, if anybody wants to take a look at that, I did not do any in-depth study on it, but they do have a formula for how they measure the square footage being used and how they come up with their rate. So. Yeah,
Any other questions?
but I think that would be good for you guys.
It's not listed in the ordinance.
We have nobody input back.
Yes.
Being new. Am I hearing that you guys are talking about remodeling the city hall? Like,
We're having an assessment done. We don't know what we're doing yet.
so that's way down the road.
Well, yeah.
No, the assessment is in the short term. We got a
grant.
we got a grant to evaluate the building to make sure it's serviceable. And then based on that grant, it will a label, if it is serviceable, then we can go for some other grants to try to.
The building was built in 1920 something, so.
Part of
the
it.
original.
There's part, yes, exactly. This is a building inside a building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the outer, yeah, and then the outer shell is a bit sketchy. If you go to the north side and look down, it's
Yeah.
scary.
I pruned all the trees around the edge last year. It was a whole tree, like a whole truckload, so. They were thriving.
I'm a ceramic tile contractor. So if there's some small project in the city, small, because I'm old now. I'd be glad to help out with it, volunteers or some mural that wants to be put up, or something like that, or the entryway to something.
Yeah.
You know, I can't
Amazing.
do something that's gonna take weeks and weeks to do, but if there's something out there, I'd be glad to help out.
You know, I have heard that there is a vacant seat on the park board. If you can jump on that, we would love that.
You know what, I'll ease into this.
A lot of child work at the park?
Not yet,
Not yet.
I'm pretty sure we could make that happen. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
Well, you know, these fun things like, fundraisers, they do like, named bricks.
Oh.
They sell those and they put them in a closet. Like I say, I can't at 65, get out and tile this whole floor. I mean, I could over time, but if there's some small thing that I can contribute to, you guys just let me know.
Definitely, we appreciate that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I wonder about the franchise piece, if there's any other utility companies that would be franchising through, like, do you guys get money from Toledo Tower, do you get money from the PUD? Those are all outside sources that come through. I just think it's interesting because I do tend to agree with Eric that the cost, there's always gonna be a cost, and like you said, a tax or something else, but that's not an everybody cost. If you raise the cost and charge a rate for utilities to come in that only certain citizens are using, then you put an unfair burden on those citizens versus taxation, which is equivalent across the board, generally speaking, you know what I mean? So I'd just be mindful of that. I would be opposed to setting a cost on a franchise when really we've been talking all this time, last couple of years, about growing Toledo and opening it up and bringing in revenue and bringing in businesses. And then you're saying, let's put a tax on that for these people that want to come in and offer services that could actually help the community grow. So I think it's an interesting conversation. And I thought, Rebecca, your question about whether or not Lewis County has something like that was really interesting. I would never think in a lifetime of living here that we would be comparing King County does it this way. I mean, it's like, yeah, that's nice, but what is happening in similar communities, not King County. So just food for thought there. And then also on the hiring piece, I mean, having been a hiring manager for a really long time, I find it interesting that you're having to get permission from the council to hire within budget. Are you not given a budget to work under and that's the end of it?
No, it's the.
The job description is changed.
Yeah,
The job,
Because we're hiring a different job title.
Your conversation did not communicate that to me.
sorry.
Oh, that's what we spoke about, that we're not hiring, we're not going out for a superintendent of public works. And that's the position that's on the policy.
Correct.
Yes, which is why it needs to go to council so that they can approve a new position.
Or if council needs to approve any policy. of the
Yes.
hiring.
That's on the agendas as well.
It's like a whole
Brand
brand
new
new
position. I thought you were talking about whether or not you're allowed to hire within a budget, which you should already
Yes.
be allowed to do, so. Okay, okay.
Do you have any other questions?
When that new sewer system was installed, was there no operating procedures or any type of operating
We do have
information with it?
we do have a manual that gets run off of. And I have a copy of that and Eric Grove has a copy of that at the moment.
Is there highlights of that if it gets into an upset condition, what manual valves you can open and close in order to?
I think that's gonna be part of our training is to go through that with Eric or with
No.
John Perkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna make a SOPs for different scenarios then?
Yeah. Yeah, it might end up that everything's in there as needed or whatnot, and that we just need our notes alongside of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice thick binder.
Is there a tablet or anything down there in the operating room that you guys can have those on the SOPs for your guys' different operations and troubleshooting that they can pull up?
They do have a couple tablets, and the copy of the manual is down there as well. I know where that's located.
Is that scanned and online for them?
That's a good question.
That'd be a good thing. That way it's, even if something catastrophic happened, you can still have it.
We should be able to get that from Gray and Osborne. That's a great idea, thank you.
And it'd be searchable too, so in the event of something.
I don't know your name.
I'm Amber's husband.
Oh, okay. Hi. Thank you for,
Yeah, I work down at Long Fiber, so I'm an electrician down there.
you looking for part-time work? Maybe weekends.
All right, thank you.
Do we have any other input tonight?
I have one more thing. I just noticed, randomly, walking, to the bathrooms in the park, that the keypads are not accessible if you're in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Just wanted to let you know, so, and we might need to change those.
And I think, and I don't know if that's something that,
We can get with him.
yeah, with Joe about as well to see, because I know part of the wiggle stop thing is to get some ADA.
You know,
Yeah,
We have
it's
somebody on the park board
Yeah, we do.
that could take that to them.
just because my kid was in a wheelchair for a couple of days, and it was like, well, you know,
That's a good thing to send.
I
to the park board.
suddenly,
Yeah.
you know, empathize.
All right.
Yeah, okay, the end.
I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to be adjourned.
I'll second it. And I have a question
Thank you, Kathy.
for Rachel.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aren't you a park board?
No, I'm not on the phone.
Aren't you a park board director, Joe? I mean, aren't you a?
Yeah.
Brandon had a meeting, I would know what was going on.
The check numbers are right here. So this is the complete top number of. I can pull the check for you. That's the check right there.
Yeah, I think,
That was my way of giving.
yeah, just, I think you can just.
They're only attached when you're talking and signing.
I know this.
Okay. Maybe saying she's gonna take copies of the checks and then the check number is right there. There's only one way to doing that.
You wanna know how to read your card off, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, you do button.
That's the other way to do it.
But once I learned it one way.
Let's talk about